Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. In today's video we are going to try Dominique Cosmetics new palette. This is called the Essential palette and I'm going to be doing swatches and 2 looks with this one today, and of course telling you my opinion and all of the details about this palette release. If you are excited, don't forget to please give the video a thumbs up and let's go ahead and get started. This new Dominique Cosmetics Essential palette is now available not just on the Dominique Cosmetics website but also at Sephora, and the retail price is $49. Here is what the exterior box of this one looks like. The palette has 10 different shades. It has a 12-month shelf life and it was made in the USA, assembled in the Dominican Republic. And take a look back here at the ingredients in case anyone is curious to look ingredient by ingredient. You can just pause the screen. Once you open up the box, the palette comes in a plastic package and it has this really stunning dusty pink type of color. Here is what the back of it looks like, and when we open it, here is the color story of this one. So you have 5 matte shades at the bottom and 5 shimmer shades on top. It is called the Essential palette, and I know a lot of you said when I asked you if you wanted a review on this one or not that you probably already have these shades in your collection, and I agree. I feel like a lot of us, especially if we have a larger makeup collection, might have a lot of shades similar to this one in it, but I don't know everyone's collection. You might be new, you might be starting with makeup, and this might be a palette that interests you. The formula might be special. We will get into all of that in a second. There is one shade in here, this one, Grateful. This shade I think is a bit more unique, but for the most part I do think that the rest of them are very essential shades and you will be able to find them in a lot of different palettes. So let's go ahead and get into the swatches. I am dying to see how all of these swatch. The first shade is Grateful, which is like a duochrome silver purpley shade, and then we have the color Pretty Kind, followed by a gold, which is called Que Linda. And Que Linda seems to have gold but also some silver sparkles in it, so it's also a bit of a duochrome. Then we have Affirmation and Confident. So these are the 5 shimmer shades from this palette. As you can see, these 2 in the middle are a lot more sparkly than the rest of them. These are more like true like shimmers, and these have a lot of sparkle in them as well. Let's keep going with the swatches. I have the first matte, which is the color Me Amo, and then we have the color Compassion, which is a perfect transition shade, followed by the color Positivity, which is a light matte vanilla type color, just a light matte shade. Honestly, for me, that one is not an essential at all. I don't usually set my whole eye with a base shade before I go on with other eyeshadows, but again, that also might just be me because I personally don't ever use those shades for my eyeshadow looks. So we have 2 more shades to go. We have the shade True Self, which is a mid-tone matte brown, and the color Fearless back here, which is a matte black. So take a look right here at all 10 of these shades and the swatches. Everything so far seems to be very creamy and very pigmented, so that part I'm happy about. And this isn't my first time using this palette. I did a whole video with like all new Sephora products yesterday, which I highly recommend you watching. The video has some very funny parts in it and I found some gems. Anyways, definitely watch that whole video, and in it I did a very simple everyday look using this palette right here. So if you are interested in one more look after you're finished watching this video, go over there and see one more look with this palette. I'm actually going to link it up there on the eye but also down in the description box, and if you are interested in purchasing the palette, please shop my link in the description box as well. Whenever you shop my links, it definitely helps out my channel and it is greatly appreciated. So anyways, let's go on to playing with this palette. I'm going to start with this eye, and the first color I'm going to use is Positivity. Like I said, I don't usually use a base for my eyeshadows, but if it's here, I'll do it. So with the REPHR number 16 brush, I'm just spreading that color all over my eyelid and the crease of my eye. And switching to a REPHR number 15, I'm grabbing the color Compassion And I'm going to start deepening things up on the crease here a little bit more, and I'm adding it to the outer corner of my lid. And as far as the formula is concerned, we can see that like I haven't gotten any fallout from the matte shades, and things are building up and blending out really, really nicely. I'm going to switch to a smaller blending brush, and I'm going to grab the color True Self, which is that mid-tone brown color, to continue to deepen things up even more with this one. So once again, building it up and blending it into my other colors a little more. And why not? I'm going to go into the color Fearless a tiny bit, maybe a bit more. Okay, that tiny bit. And I'm going to darken up the outer corner of my eye with the matte black shade. And this is actually looking really nice. All of the matte shades are blending beautifully into one another, that's for sure. I'm dying to use the color Grateful, so that's the one we're going for. And this is a REPHR number 28 brush. With the REPHR number 28, I'm patting the color Grateful on my eyelid, on the outer part of the eyelid. And as I said when I was swatching it, this shade is kind of like a duochrome mix between a pewter and a very light cool tone purpley shade maybe. Like it has a hint of purple in it. But now that I'm seeing it applied on the eyelid, I don't know that it's that noticeable. It just looks more so like a pewter shade. Okay, since I'm going for a cool tone look, I'm going to get the color Pretty Kind next on the other side of my REPHR number 28. And I'm going to lightly tap it on my eyelid. When I used this palette yesterday, I wasn't super careful, and the color Pretty Kind did crumple up a bit and ended up underneath my eye. So I would say be careful with that one because it seems to be a bit softer pressed than the rest. And so you might end up with some fallout. So I'm putting it on the inner half of my eyelid, mixing it into the other shades we used. A bit more Grateful on my finger, and I'm patting it right in the middle. And I'm going to get one teeny tiny dab of Fearless with a bit of a dab of True Self. And I'm going to blend that mixture right underneath my lower lashes, starting on the outer half of my under eye. And this is a REPHR number 13 brush, which is the perfect blending brush for the under eyes. So I'm extending it in all the way to my tear duct area now. And I did get a bit of fallout from that shimmer shade that I was telling you about. So even trying to be careful with it, it still came down on my cheeks. So I would do my eyes first with this palette, especially if you're going to use the color Pretty Kind, because she likes to go all over. I used a black eyeliner on the waterline of my eye. It kind of smudged a little bit. But this right here is the finished look for this eye using the cooler toned shades from this palette. We're about to do something different over here. This one looks really nice. I like it. It's nice and smoky and sultry and sexy, but like natural all at the same time. I feel like this would look very pretty and very sexy on both eyes. Anyways, moving on to this one, we're going to do something different over here. I cleaned my brushes, and I'm once again starting with my REPHR number 15 brush and the color Compassion this time, and I'm going to build it on the crease of my eye. And I'm tapping it in windshield wiper motions all the way in right here. And once I have a nice amount of color, I'm going to start blending just like this. Oh my god. Oh, look what I just did. It fell from so high. This is the first time I've ever destroyed a palette this bad. I'm going to try and press it back together. We're not giving up on you yet. I'm so sorry. So the reason that happened was because I was reaching for this Dominique Cosmetics palette that I bought last year. This is called the Moment palette, and it has this absolutely stunning color story right here. And I wanted to bring this one down and talk to you about it because I did a video reviewing this one, and I shared my concerns about like the inconsistencies in the shades. The shades in this palette did not perform the way I wanted them to. Some of the shimmers could at times be lackluster, and some of the mattes were not blending as nicely as I wanted them to blend. Also, I can see right now that Dominique Cosmetics really loves her base shades because she put another one in this palette. Anyway, so this palette for me, it wasn't the worst. I was able to use it. I created a couple of looks that I liked with it, but it was very inconsistent. And even though this one is a much more fun color story, I gotta say that the Essential palette, as far as I'm concerned, and I think I've now used most of the shades, is a lot more consistent in the formula. All of the mattes are creamy and they are blendable and they're performing very nicely. And the shimmers also seem to have a nicer formula. As I said, Que Linda and Pretty Kind are a bit crumbly, so I would either guard your under eyes or do your eyes first, but the formula in this one is a lot more consistent than the formula from the Moment palette. So I wanted to make sure you knew that because it's exciting to me. Anyways, I'm done with the color Compassion and I'm switching to a smaller blending brush and getting the color Me Amo, which I'm going to tap and blend right here on the outer corner. And I feel like this shade kind of made this palette because the whole palette is kind of like the color of this shade, Me Amo, right here. Anyways, it is a beautiful dusty pink shade and it is blending beautifully into the rest of the shades. With my finger, I'm grabbing the color Confidence back here. I want to try as many shades as I possibly can. So I'm going to add it right here next to the outer corner of my eye. Also, if you want to see a very easy everyday look with this palette, make sure you check out the video I uploaded yesterday, because I made a look with like 3 shadows and it was very simple and very easy, but it came out beautifully. Anyways, as you can see, I went back with the matte black to intensify things and I'm going back with Me Amo to blend it out. This look is taking a turn, it's taking a life of its own, and I'm just continuing to blend. I went for the black shade because in the pursuit of using every shade the palette has, I reached for the color Confident and then I felt the need to darken up the outer corner of my eye. So here is how things are looking. So far so good. A bit more Me Amo. I don't want to lose it, so I'm going to add more to the crease. I'm going to get the color Affirmation next and add it right in the center of my eyelid, right here. And then the color Que Linda, which is the only one we're missing. It's that gold shade and I'm putting it in the inner corner. With the REPHR number 28 and the color Que Linda, I am just evening out the shimmer on my eyelid. So take a look right here at the top of our warmer look. I really like this one as well. I'm going to do sort of the same thing I did for my under eyes on this eye. So a little bit of Fearless, but then I'm mixing it with the color Me Amo here. And with my REPHR number 13, I am just blending that mixture underneath this eye. Black eyeliner from Anastasia underneath this eye as well. And this right here is the final warmer look with this palette. And I used every single shade from the Dominique Cosmetics palette, so I can tell you my final thoughts on it. I went ahead and put on my Thrive Cosmetics mascara on both eyes, and I'm going to use a bit more of this clear lipstick from YSL that I tried yesterday. I really like the texture of it. This is Mocha from Anastasia. And I'm running it through the edges. And here is the final look that hopefully matches both of my eye looks. I actually really love the way both of these eye looks came out. And I'm ready to give you my final thoughts on the Dominique Essential palette. As far as the formula of the shades are concerned, I did really like them. I also like this format of palette where you get 10 big shades. Reminds me a bit of like the Mothership palette formula, which I really love. And I also love that she did 5 mattes and 5 shimmers for this one. As far as the color story is concerned, this is truly an essentials palette in the sense that with these colors you can create an unlimited amount of like everyday looks, quote unquote. You can make them a little sexier by adding the black. You can make them a little bit lighter, more everyday by just using the lighter colors in the palette. But obviously there's nothing extraordinary about this color story. And if you look in your collection, even if you have like 3 to 5 palettes total in your collection, you might already have shades that look very similar to the shades in this Essential palette because they truly are very basic. Like majority of palettes have gold shimmers, majority of palettes have a bronzy shade, majority of palettes have a transition color like this one. If you have any nudie pink palette, you have a color like this one. A lot of palettes have black shades, mid-tone browns. All of the colors in this palette you can find in a lot of different places, especially if you have a bigger collection. So this Essential palette you can totally use for all kinds of events. It could be every day, it could be date night, it could be a glam palette. You can literally use it for so many things, but at the same time I don't find that there's anything interesting enough about this color story that would make me think that this palette is unique in any way. Do I recommend it? If you don't have anything that looks like this in your collection, why not? I actually really liked it. I love the formula. The looks I created were beautiful, but if you already have these colors in your collection, obviously you don't need it, and I would pass up on it until something that is a bit more interesting comes along. So yes, those are kind of my thoughts on this one, and don't get me wrong, I feel like a month from now you might be seeing me tell you that this is all I'm reaching for because I'm basic, right? But however, even if that does happen, I know that I have these colors in a lot of my other palettes in my collection, so this is for sure a want and absolutely not a need. I really hope that you guys like this palette review. If you did, don't forget to please give it a thumbs up. Before you leave, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I love you guys so much. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope to see you back in the next one. Bye.